So, I thought today was going to be just another ordinary day. You know, the kind of day where nothing memorable happens, where you get through it without incident, maybe watch some videos, grab some snacks, and call it a win. But as soon as I stepped out of my apartment, I could feel that something was off. Didn't know what it was yet, but the universe had already started writing a completely different script for me, and all I could do was go along for the ride. It started with my plan to grab a coffee before heading to class. Nothing complicated, just a simple espresso to wake me up. I walked into the coffee shop, nodded at the barista, and confidently ordered my usual. But in that exact moment, I tripped on absolutely nothing. My foot caught air. 1 second I was standing, the next I was performing what I can only describe as an accidental interpretive dance across the floor. My coffee went flying like a cannonball and landed on a stranger's laptop. And just like that, the quiet, predictable morning evaporated into chaos. The poor guy looked horrified, and I froze. My brain was screaming, "Apologize! Apologize! Run away!" But I couldn't move. I was the human embodiment of oops. I muttered a string of words that sounded more like gibberish than apologies. The barista tried to help, but I could tell they were also trying not to laugh. The stranger closed the laptop, sighed, and said, "Well, accidents happen, I guess." I nodded like a bobblehead and fled the scene, my dignity slowly sliding down the drain with every step. By the time I left the coffee shop, I realized my shirt was soaked in coffee, my backpack was sticky, and I smelled like a caffeinated disaster. I considered just going home and canceling the day entirely, but my stubbornness kicked in. I had commitments, I had plans, and I was determined not to let one tiny trip ruin everything. The next oops occurred when I tried to get on the bus. Normally, I'm smooth with public transportation. I know the stops, the schedules, I'm practically a bus ninja. But today, not so much. I stepped onto the bus, reached for the handrail, and somehow my backpack strap got caught on the pole. I tried to pull free gracefully. Oh, that didn't happen. Instead, I toppled sideways, smacked into the seat, and nearly took out an entire row of passengers like a domino effect. People stared. Some laughed. I mumbled apologies while trying to extricate myself without causing a full-scale human pileup. The bus driver didn't even flinch. They've clearly seen it all before. I, however, was experiencing a level of embarrassment usually reserved for televised blooper reels. Eventually, I made it to campus, sticky and bruised, but alive. I thought maybe, just maybe, the day would stabilize now. I attended my first class of the day, taking a seat in the back to minimize attention. But as soon as I sat down, my chair collapsed under me. Yes, completely, entirely, spectacularly collapsed. Everyone turned to look at me, and in that moment, I wished the floor would just swallow me whole. I scrambled to my feet, red-faced, muttering oops under my breath like a mantra. The professor tried to hide a smile, probably pretending not to notice, but I knew. They knew. I knew they knew. After class, I needed a break, so I headed to the campus quad. I figured fresh air and some quiet time might help me reset. I walked past a group of students playing frisbee and tried to mind my own business. But of course, fate had other ideas. One of the frisbees flew directly at my head. I ducked. Too late. It bounced off my shoulder, hit the water fountain, and splashed me from head to toe. Now I was soaked, sticky, coffee-stained, and sporting a frisbee bruise. I laughed at myself because honestly, what else could I do? At this point, the day had officially claimed me, and I was riding the wave of oops like a professional. Determined not to let it end there, I went to the library to get some studying done. Surely, nothing could go wrong there. It's quiet, controlled, predictable, right? Wrong. I found a study carrel, sat down, and started unpacking my bag. That's when I realized I had brought the wrong laptop charger. I don't even own a second charger. The battery was dying. Little ding of the low battery alert felt like a countdown to doom. I frantically searched for outlets, only to find every single one taken by students already entrenched in their own study zones. One kid offered to let me plug in, but of course, in my rush, I knocked over a stack of books while moving my chair. Books crashed to the floor like a waterfall, and I swear I heard at least 3 gasps. Then, the real twist. While retrieving the books, I somehow managed to trip on my own shoelaces, yes. Tied properly and stumble into a library cart filled with textbooks. The cart tipped, the books scattered, and a student screamed, "What is happening?" I froze, looking like a deer in headlights, and whispered, "Oops." The librarian came over, eyebrows arched, and I offered my most sincere apology while trying not to cry from laughter and frustration simultaneously. The moral of the story was clear. My day was officially cursed, or maybe blessed, depending on how you look at it. By mid-afternoon, I finally decided to give up on trying to control anything. I went outside, grabbed a snack from a nearby cafe, and found a bench to sit. I opened my bag, only to realize I had forgotten my wallet at home. Great. No money, no food, no dignity. I sat there, staring at my empty hands, and laughed so hard that a nearby pigeon looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Then, as if on cue, someone's ice cream cone fell from a passing cart and landed directly on the ground in front of me. I couldn't even... This day was truly relentless. But here's the thing. As ridiculous as everything was, I started to see the silver lining. Each oops moment was a story I could tell later. Each mistake, each slip, each minor disaster was shaping the day into something hilarious, memorable, and strangely satisfying. By the time evening rolled around, I had given up entirely on my original plans. I hadn't done what I had intended in the morning, but I had survived every small disaster, learned patience, and collected a mountain of ridiculous experiences. And honestly, I was kind of proud, eh? As I walked home, I noticed the sunset. The sky was a mix of pinks, oranges, and purples, perfectly framing the chaos I had endured. I laughed to myself, thinking about all the spilled coffee, the broken chairs, the frisbee attacks, and the falling books. This day wasn't bad, wasn't tragic. It was absurd, ridiculous, and beautiful all at once. I realized that oops moments are just life's way of reminding you to not take yourself too seriously. So here's my takeaway. Embrace the oops. Celebrate the accidents, the minor catastrophes, the moments where nothing goes according to plan. Those are the memories that stick. Those are the stories you'll laugh about later, the ones that make life unpredictable and entertaining. My day didn't go how I thought it would. In fact, it went completely off script. But it became a story I'll never forget. A story worth telling. A story that proves sometimes the best days are the ones that start with a simple, honest, human oops. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a day where everything went wrong, but somehow it became unforgettable anyway? Drop your story in the comments. Hit like if you've ever had a series of oops moments that ended up being hilarious. And subscribe for more stories that turn ordinary days into extraordinary memories. Because life doesn't have to be perfect to be epic, it just has to be full of oops.